office back in Derby, and you can basically layer up all the track information, and you can see trends beginning to appear. So you might have a twist, and you can't even feel it. By the time we can detect it, you'll never feel it. With the data we're providing, they can then predict where the faults will be, spend far less money actually repairing it. The train's obviously working because we're not having to make the phone calls anymore. The technology's doing all the work, and I've just got to make sure the technology is working. Saying that, it's just gone wrong. The information we're providing is going out there, and there's an awful lot of work being done on the network, and I'm really chuffed to be doing it. Being part of it is just great. Who knows what next year could bring along, what technology is going to come out from universities, wherever, from research places. I'm sure if there's a use for it, it will be put on this train.
At the Lake District site, things seem to be back on schedule. It's time to bring in one last piece of roaring rolling stock, the dynamic track stabilizer.
It shakes the track, gives the track a shake, and it's like 1,000 passes of trains going over it, which normally, if it's at a 50 miles an hour speed, will let a week's passage of trains, passenger trains and freight go over it.
Just building the vibration frequency up to 40 megahertz.
This one's booked to go back with a temporary speed restriction of 80 miles an hour. Yeah, that's why we've got the DTS on site. If anything happens to the DTS where it doesn't complete the full job, we won't be able to put it back up to, it'll go no higher than 50 miles an hour.
And when I've been through with this, it's the equivalent of 500,000 tonne of traffic when it worked.
The dynamic track stabilizer is decided not to be dynamic.
Sorry, but I don't think it's going to perform for you today.
The work site grinds to a halt.
Well, they've found a problem with it that the fitter can't immediately rectify, so we've asked the driver to move it back out of the way. We've got a tamper further down the track which we're going to bring in to do his second pass while they try and fix that. And we've had a word with the site next door to us where we've got an additional DTS. If there's any possibility they can thread that through the trains that are between here and there to get it into this site to do the DTS work that this one should be doing if the fitter can't get it to work. It happens frequently, but we've always usually got a get-out-of-jail-free card. Normally, if we've got another machine, we'll bring that in. These pieces of kit are usually quite reliable for us.
The engineers don't want to return the track at a lower speed. This will affect the timetable, so they try again.
In the 1980s, there was a very major rebuilding program on the subway system. And this is very comparable to that because you have the same pressures and being on the headlines the next page if something goes wrong the next day and that type of a thing.
Rail passengers are being warned to expect continued delays.
And services won't return to normal
until well into the new year.
I wouldn't even bother looking at it, to be perfectly honest with you. Just come down and you either hit or miss if you're going to get a train or not.
Another weekend and more disruptions on the railways. Despite the relaxation of some speed restrictions, there's still 300 miles of track left to replace. And those delays are expected to continue well into next year.
Delays cause huge disruption and cost the railways millions in fines. One delay can have an enormous ripple effect on the railway. If the track isn't returned on time, it will have a catastrophic effect across the country. With more than 1,000 trains using the West Coast Line every day, running to a timetable is essential. Things are going from bad to worse at the Long Ashes site, as the dynamic track stabilizer has decided to be anything but.
All I can really say is the fact that the fitter has done a temporary repair. I don't know what the repair is, but it's just a repair to get us through the job today. It's got to go back to the depot for repairs. But we're just, the fitter's worked on it to get it through today. And the DTS is coming along and it vibrates and puts down pressure on the track. It consolidates the ballast that the tamper has actually put under the sleepers. It doesn't actually move the track. All it's doing is it's got that vibration movement which moves the ballast, basically. If you notice the ballast, if you're standing even 2 meters away from it, you feel the ballast. It's like a mini earthquake, basically.
At one of the weekend sites, overhead wires are being replaced. To do this by hand would be a time-consuming job. At just under 200 meters in length, the high-output wiring train can rewire 1,700 meters in 10 hours. With only 120 meters to go, it is way ahead of schedule. Trains are being prepared, and time is running out for 10,000 workers at 197 work sites